Hi guys, thank you so much for having me and this opportunity to unironically say thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, good evening to everybody here. If that point wasn't very clear, this is a WhatsApp forward to illustrate it. Yeah, I felt it add a little bit of weight and gravitas to my good evening. Anyway, let me just pick that off my bucket list. Start a TED Talk with a WhatsApp forward. Okay. My name is Nirmal. I make funny videos on the internet. You may know me by my Instagram name, My Life, My Rules, which started off as a joke, but then went too far when people actually thought it was my real name. I'm not joking. They actually thought it was a very real name called Malif Maharules. I am not joking. This is some DMs that I got because of it. Some dude was like Maharules with spaces in between. But I think what this establishes is that the internet is a fundamentally weird place, and one of the weirdest things that's happened on it for me is that I could build a career on it by making these funny videos and being myself, and I could like make money out of it. It's just absurd, right? So what is it? What is my job? This is a question I get a lot from friends, acquaintances, relatives, parents and all. So if you think I am going to use this prestigious TED platform to record a video so I can send it to all my relatives, you are 100% correct. So welcome to a dummy's guide to being a creator by Malik Marudesh. The dummy in question is in fact me. So the first question that I usually get is, what is your job? Otherwise, what is echoed in this beautiful Instagram DM here? So there are many words floating around for what it is that I do. Some of the words are influencer, which is a name coined by brands who think we actually have the ability to influence people. The other one is content creator. But what does that even mean really? What is content? Content can be anything. This bottle is content. This WhatsApp forward, I can argue, is content. Because really, think about it, the person who made this is a content creator. They took the core idea of good evening, added a quote to it, put a sunset, packaged it as a beautiful JPEG, sent it out into the world to be absorbed. That's content. The person did content creation. So, what is the difference between the person who made that in the WhatsApp forward and me? The thing is, now we're gonna get serious, okay? So, the thing is, the difference is that that person doesn't have this thing called social capital, whereas I have it. Social capital is like this umbrella term which I think is used to denote all these things. For Instagram, it means follower count. On YouTube, it's about how many subscribers you have on. For politicians, it's the amount of votes that they can inspire. For actors, it's the amount of tickets that one particular actor can sell. Like anybody, for that matter, who can sell a ticket just based on their name, right? So that is the fundamental difference. For the WhatsApp forward creator, there is no face or a brand attached to that person's creation. Whereas for me, there is a name or a brand attached to it. There is no social capital accumulated for that person where there is for me. Now, what do you do with this social capital? So we, people who have it, we leverage it for two things, namely, one is money, which is what you see as brand deals. We leverage the social capital in order to make money so that we can be comfortable, reinvest it in things that we want to try. The second thing is more opportunities. For example, Harbhajan Singh, famed cricketer, now acting in Malayalam film. How? Why? Because he's used that fundamental thing of you leveraging his social capital. That is how it works in this world. So my job, therefore, at the surface level is being a creator, is being all that influencer, all that. But how I look at it is maintaining, growing, and leveraging my social capital. This is my fundamental thing that I'm thinking about every single day. To create things that I'm proud of and to live a monetarily comfortable life. That is the middle class in me just coming out. Money is important, guys. Yeah. So if anybody asks you in any exam paper, elucidate the career of Malik, 5 marks. You know exactly what to write. Now, the second question that people usually ask is, how do you accumulate the social capital? How do you make it? This is the question. And I'd like to tell you two things about my life. The first thing is a mindset, okay? And here I have to tell you, this is where everybody's perspective kind of differs. Every single person will tell you a different story of how they made it, what their logic is for that thing. My logic is always looking for the backdoor entry. Simple example, I wanted to get into NIT Trichy, I was not very smart. NIT Trichy is one of those prestigious institutions that come after IIT. But then I found that there was another example, J means paper 2, that not many people knew about. It's for architecture, where they're asking you to identify shapes and draw and all. So I did that, which was a very less crowded path to get into it, and I got into NIT Trichy. So I realized, oh, this same logic I'm going to apply throughout life. So I actually wanted to be a showrunner. I want to create my own fiction shows or filmmaker or whatever. So the traditional way to get there is what I saw is you had to become an assistant director, toil, work for several years, somehow convince a producer to put money into your project and then maybe make it. This lot of people were trying to do this and there were very few who eventually did. A lot of people did it, but it was very less in compared to the number of people who were doing it. That time I saw all these stand-up comedians make their own shows like Sumuki, Biswa, all these guys, right? So I was like, oh shit, maybe I should just become a stand-up comedian to make my own show. Very simple. This is usually the line outside an open mic. If you go now, open mics are where comedians build their material. It's so difficult to get a 5-minute spot now that stand-up comedy is established as this one profession, right? Now people know, so many people are attempting to do it. This was when I started making these reels and these small Instagram videos, which somehow ironically led me to a position of growth and accumulating the social capital where now I got to a point where I was able to sit in front of some showrunners and actually pitch 2 show ideas to them, to the content development team. So, who would have thought, right? You don't have to clap, it's not made. Once it gets made, I'll come back, you clap then, okay? So, yeah. So that is the fundamental thing of how these random things could just lead you to these backdoor entries. And the second thing is about not being too stuck up on doing certain things. This is for me. It's like if I went back to the past, I'll tell myself this. Because in college, in school also, I was like this hardcore, like I want to be a filmmaker, I'm going to be Martin Scorsese 2.0. And then one of my friends was like, dude, you know what, you do theatre and all, no? You're pretty funny, you should actually try making these videos and YouTube and all that. I was like, please. I'm a classic guy, I only do deep, dark, meaningful things. Now look at me. What am I doing? But ironically, doing this is what's led me to a point where I can explore all those other things that I initially wanted to do. So when you're starting out, it is so important to try every single thing possible. Experiment in all of those things. And be a little smart about it, of course. But because it may, if you don't capitalize on these things or not experiment when you're especially starting out, you may lose out on this early mover advantage. Like, I'll give you a good example. I was in a position, I was making these 1-minute Instagram videos basically for a long while when lockdown hit, and it was steadily growing. This was when Reels came into the picture. Now, these are things you can't predict. TikTok gets banned completely. Okay? And Instagram puts this new product, it's a clone of TikTok, which the fundamental is different, where in Instagram if you put a 1-minute video, it's only accessible to your followers. In Reels and TikTok, the video that you put out is accessible to anybody. The discoverability is for anybody. The only thing that matters is whether the content is good or not, ultimately. So, who could have predicted that this thing will come in perfectly when I was exploring and getting better at this thing? When Reels came, it just combined and it led to the growth that I experienced, and like it led me to create the kind of pieces of content that led me to be at this position right now. So that was an early mover advantage. Similarly, the people who started YouTube back in the heyday when YouTube first came to India, they are all the people who are sitting at the top of the ladder right now. So it's very important to keep a lookout at what are all these new things that are coming up. What is this thing that I could possibly ride on and grow along with the platform? Because with Instagram also wanted to push Reels. YouTube wanted to push Shorts, and YouTube wanted to push itself. So along with the platform, you are also growing. That's the kind of the core idea of it. The third question is a very famous one. Isn't it risky? Now, the thing is that honestly, a lot of things that we do is fundamentally risky, but we just don't think of it as such. For example, a lot of our friends do CAT, right? Write the CAT exam, not the feline creature. But the percentage of people who get into those top 3 IIMs are so less. But it's so common for you to take like a year off in order to study for CAT. It's like socially acceptable. People understand. Similarly, it's okay for you to take a 60 lakh loan to go abroad to do some random degree, and like not even have that, that confirmation of that job. You're doing it on a whim that you may get the job. And we're doing this in a time where H1B visas are being repealed, by the way. Which is insane. And the argument that is there is that it leads to a 9-to-5 job. But who said 9-to-5 job is not risky? I did a 9-to-5 job myself. I was a product designer. And I can tell you, it's the same level of risk. You are at risk of being kicked out. You are at risk of losing interest. You are at risk of getting a midlife crisis in the middle and realizing this is not what you wanted to do at all. And all of these things are very scary. And another thing that people say is promotions is a thing you promote and you get nice position, nice money. But how is that different from me, currently Nirmal, creator, picking up skills like other things like stand-up or like streaming or acting or writing or all these different things and expanding in all those different ways, promoting myself in a sense, as opposed to a designer picking up managerial skills and learning and going through the process and becoming a design manager at the end. It's kind of the same thing almost. So, that being said, monetary risk is a different thing. And this is again my middle class coming out to you, where different people will have different experiences here. I had a backup job and I had made sure that I was doing it, and I only quit my job when my Instagram earnings were at a point were comfortably enough than my existing job. And when I realized that I could use this day job time to do other things, to upskill in different areas. So that is the only time that I quit. So I feel like it's important to be financially independent before you take a plunge into that creative world. Now, okay, you're like, I'm sold, man, I want to do this, but what is this thing that's holding me back? And you may have heard this a lot, but there is this thing called the fear of judgment. That dude has fear of judgment. But I'm telling you right now that almost every single creator or person who's seen on the internet, everybody has experiences when they were starting out. Like people may judge, may not judge. Second video, third video, by the 10th video, people are like, okay, I mean, he's doing his thing, let him do his thing. And when the payoff comes at the end of it, I'm telling you, there's like really nothing like it. So, now that you've started and you're building these bits of content and like putting yourself out there, what does the road ahead look like? Virality is this much coveted thing, and let me tell you that virality is this thing that will come. It's not that elusive, but what's important is to convert that virality into your social capital, and that only happens if you build a body of work. That means every single video that you're putting out tomorrow, day after, where you think not a lot of people are watching, once you go viral, those are the videos that people are going to come back to and see, and they're going to understand, oh, this is what this person is about, this is what this person stands for, this is the brand that I'm going to subscribe to. And it may convert into social capital. So virality will come, but it's important to have that body of work before that. So everything that you're going to do tomorrow, day after, that is all going to be useful. So don't think that that is a body for illustration purposes. So, I guess, that being said, I will see you on the trial because we are all in the same boat, honestly, if you are looking into a career in this thing, because we are also thinking about the same thing only. What is our next video going to be? What is the next thing we are going to do? It's the same thing that you are also going to be thinking. What is the first video that I do? What is the second video? What is the third? So, we'll all meet each other in the trial at some point eventually. That being said, I'd like to strike out the second thing from my bucket list, which is to end a TED Talk with a WhatsApp forward. Thank you!